All right, welcome to another episode of AC Explains. On this episode, I'm going to talk about my song Glam Castles. Came from my album Glitter, Dust Mermaids. This is one of my own personal favorites. Let's talk a little bit about origin on this one. So I remember exactly what song inspired this now that I think about it. So Andrew Wong did this song called Sparkle Mountain. And while I was in the middle of working on this album, and I saw the video for it come out, and he did an explainer video as well. And one of the things about that video that I really dug the sound of and tried to kind of steal a little bit, and then I made it my own, because, you know, nothing ever works out exactly the way you see it in videos. You got your own tools and some of your own like workflow habits and stuff that kind of change it a little bit. But anyway, so what I did was recorded in some live bass, created a bass line for this song, and then threw Ableton's amp on top with a whole bunch of other effects also. But essentially I just wanted to distort this bass, which for me at the time was a bit of a change, because a lot of the bass lines that I'd been doing up until that point that were interesting to me that I liked were cleaner bass lines, a lot more subtle. I wanted to try and keep everything nice and tight so it just sat underneath and it wasn't too poppy. But I've always liked bands that have done a really good job of showcasing their bassist. So some examples of this was a band, I think they actually originated out of Portland, Oregon, called, I'm forgetting their name now, Floater. It's a band called Floater. Their lead singer, I believe, was the bassist, and they were a little bit of a bass-heavy. Primus is another much more popular example where the lead singer was the bassist, if I remember correctly, but the bass lines were featured really prominently. And part of the way they made these pop was by not making them subtle the way that I normally like to do when I'm doing what I would call maybe a more traditional bass line. So that was the start for all of this, and I kind of tried to figure out where to go from there, and I decided that sort of doing a little bit of a lo-fi type of thing on the lead and on the other synths that I was using would give it an older school feel. And then I eventually got to this point where it started to kind of sound like, you know, the recording quality of like 80s VHS videotapes that like teachers would wheel out a cart and a VCR for to watch kids watch in the 80s, like that kind of sound quality. But it, you know, it hits me in the nostalgia, and so I like that, and I just ran with it. But yeah, so that's a lot of it. Threw a lot of flourish in there at the end, and now we have the song that you get to hear in this video. So this is Glam Castles, and I hope you enjoy it.